Never in my wildest imagination did I believe that I would be a doctor of any kind. I have two sisters that are nurses, but now I'm a doctor. As someone who has spent her career in journalism, a doctor of letters is the highest honor, and I thank you very much. Thank you for your kind and warm welcome today. It is truly humbling to stand before so many people who are fantasizing about being someplace else. And what I mean is that on graduation day, you're fantasizing about your future. Where do you want to go next? That is after happy hour. Congratulations to those of you who have secured the job of your dreams or who have been admitted to the graduate program of your dreams. Some of you are struggling to get hired. My advice to all of you is the same. Whatever you want, if you want it badly enough, you've got a good chance of getting it. If. The operative word for success is if. Rudyard Kipling wrote a poem called If. Many of you might have read it. It's about the qualities necessary to be a grown-up, a real man. It's actually a unisex message. Kipling says, you will succeed if you can keep your perspective and your perseverance in balance. He says, you'll fulfill yourself if you keep your composure while others are losing their cool, or blaming you, or doubting you, or even lying about you. Kipling advises us to dream big, be willing to take risks, stay hungry and humble. All of this is true, but in my experience, getting what you want in life depends on a few other ifs. The first is if you have a passion, and if you're willing to follow your heart while using your head. I consider myself fortunate that I discovered my passion when I was just 12 years old. I was a junkie, not a drug junkie. I was addicted to news. I was a curious kid. I was inquisitive about everything. I devoured newspapers. We listened to the radio a lot in those days. It was before Google and Bing and Yahoo. It was even before there were home computers. I'm dating myself. I was a pint-sized do-it-yourself search engine. I used to put together small newspapers for my family and the neighborhood kids. I actually found one when I was getting ready to write my speech. One story that I remember very vividly took place in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. An insane man reportedly threw a rock at Michelangelo's Pieta. It turned out later he was wielding a hammer. This was big news in our Catholic household. It was shocking that the statue of Mother Mary holding the body of Jesus after the crucifixion had been damaged so badly. The Blessed Mother's arm was broken off at the elbow, her face was chipped, and the crazed man was committed to a psychiatric hospital. For some reason, I felt the need to write it all down and record it. And that's exactly what I did. I made a little newspaper and I even drew pictures. Little did I realize that in that moment, I had discovered my passion. I knew what I wanted to do for a living. My father died when I was 5 years old. My mother, God rest her soul, raised the 5 of us, all by herself, with a firm hand and an even firmer mentality. She told us, if you aim high and work hard, you will go far. My mom's dream for me was that someday I'd be a performer. I think she thought I'd be on Broadway. Well, my version of Broadway turned out to be television news. In my high school yearbook, under my ambition, I wrote that I wanted to take Barbara Walters' place. Imagine years later when I met Barbara and I was a guest in her home many times for dinner. I still haven't had the courage to tell her that I wanted to take her place. I'm a little bit shy. In fact, my shyness influenced my desire to work behind the camera instead of in front of it. I had a talent for storytelling, and I wasn't shy about directing the talents of others. Ask my husband. I was driven to succeed. I didn't know any important people in high places. I just knew that if someone would give me a chance, I would not disappoint. At Southern Connecticut State College, I was given the opportunity to do an internship. I did one at a local ABC News affiliate in New Haven, Connecticut. It gave me insights into how nightly newscasts were put together. It also gave me enough knowledge to talk my way into my first job at Satellite News Channel, which was the first competitor to CNN. I happily worked the overnight shift as a production assistant, and within a few months, I was promoted to overnight assignment desk manager. And so I come to another if, related to success. If you are willing to outwork others, if you are tireless and demand excellence of yourself and your colleagues, you will succeed. Early in my career, I gained a reputation for getting things done. Whatever it took, people would always say, "Get Beth, she'll get it done." And I remember another if. You will succeed if you can improvise. Shakespeare was right when he said, "All the world's a stage in which you will play many parts." My parts today include that of mother of a 12-year-old boy named Zachary over there, and I'm the wife of a great man, Roger Ailes. And I'm telling you that as publisher of 2 newspapers and all the other balls that I juggle, none of it is an act, but all of it requires that I perform at a high level of energy and intensity, perseverance and perspective, improvising all day long. When I was a child, in addition to putting out my newspapers, I put on neighborhood plays. Besides writing the scripts and doing the music and pulling things out of my mother's closet for costumes, I put everything together, and I would get very frustrated when things weren't going the way I thought they should go. I was a perfectionist. And my Aunt Bernadine, who lived with us, looked at me one day and she said, "Improvise, improvise." And I said, "What's that, Bernadine?" And she said, "Use your imagination, be creative." So my message to you today is, whatever role you play in life, realize things are never perfect. Have a plan, expect and embrace change. Learn how to be flexible, juggle when you have to, and always try to do it with a smile. And that is my final if. You will succeed if you open doors for others. Not just for yourself, but for others. Encourage your colleagues and your friends. Share with them and help them. I learned that lesson in elementary school. The nuns assigned us chores in the classroom, clapping erasers, hall monitor. If you were picked, it was a nod from a trusted and stern authority that you were capable. One of my favorite jobs was to be the door holder. I loved opening doors so others could pass through. Today I stand before you, holding the door open on my life. I hope I have encouraged you a bit. If you have a dream, follow it. Work hard and go for results. If, and I'll squeeze in one more if, you get up each morning and say a prayer that today is another opportunity. Today there is some worthwhile occasion that you will rise to. And then, in the words of Rudyard Kipling, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. Thank you, and God bless all of you.